I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about rebuilding trust when your ex comes back.
Whew, this is a tough one.
Very difficult to do because you're going to be emotional, and it takes a lot of emotional self-control, and it's not easy.
Before we get into it, I did want to say that Craig and I are available for coaching sessions. So if you would like to talk about your situation one-on-one with one of us, you can head to the website and book from there.
Absolutely. Trust is so critical in a relationship. And the thing about it is that it is so hard to gain trust. It takes time and effort, but it is so easy to lose. In fact, sometimes it's even lost over just a miscommunication and, just seeing things in a different way. Both people don't communicate it, and next thing you know, you're spiraling out of control.
And it really is the foundation of a relationship. You hear people say this all the time. If you can't trust your partner, then you can't be vulnerable with them. You can't take the relationship to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely true. And breaking trust in a relationship, it happens when there's a gap between your expectations and reality. So you expect your partner to act a certain way, to think a certain way, to treat you a certain way. And in reality, when you realize, wait a minute, that's not what I had expected. That's not what I thought was going to happen, or that's not who I thought they were.
Yeah.
That's where your trust is affected. And this can happen to agreements that are spoken. When somebody says, oh, I'm never going to do that. Or, I'm going to be 100% transparent with you. And then they don't. But it can also be with agreements that are unspoken. And maybe you just assumed that a person would act a certain way because of the way that they present themselves or because of the way that you perceive them. And then they act differently.
In the beginning, when you're first getting to know somebody, it's kind of like this magical fantasy bubble that you're living in. And they're perfect and they're wonderful, because that's how they present themselves often in the beginning. But as you get to know them over time, you realize that they're not perfect, and they do make mistakes, and they do say things that hurt you or disappoint you. And next thing you know, you lose trust in them, and then everything falls apart.
And sometimes it can even happen to people who have been together for years.
Yeah.
You have assumed for years that your partner was a certain way.
Yeah.
And maybe it is a misunderstanding. Maybe they do something that you think is out of line for their character, but they don't think is wrong at all.
Yeah.
So trust is a really tricky thing because we each have our own perspective of what that is, what we expect from our partner, and how we repair those things.
Yeah.
And a breakup itself, that can be a break of trust, or it can feel like one.
Yeah.
Because you go from hearing a partner say, I love you, I'm going to be with you, I'm going to fight for this relationship, I'm going to communicate with you, to now they're ending the relationship when you had expected them to fight.
Yeah, like you've never thought that they could have doubts. You never thought that they would consider leaving, and now all of a sudden they have. It's like this huge shock.
Oh yeah. And when the relationship is at its best, sometimes you will get this impression, wow, my partner's really going to be communicative. Wow, my partner's really going to be there for me. And then stress happens, life happens, and then you realize, man, I trusted this person. I trusted this person through a lot of different things. And then that trust was broken. So these things do happen in relationships. They do lead to a lot of breakups, but when partners do get back together, it is about rebuilding that trust and starting from a different point.
Yep.
And that can be really, really tricky. And trust can be broken in so many different ways, like we talk about. It can be a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
In other ways, it could be a little bit more intentional than that.
So there are a lot of different ways that someone can lose trust. A lot of different things somebody could do, either intentionally or even if they're well-meaning. Sometimes somebody lies to be well-meaning. Maybe they don't want to hurt somebody or disappoint somebody. and it just looks bad. And so now it's like everything looks bad, right? It's so hard once that thing happens. So here's some of the things. Obviously cheating, that's a big one. Lying, and sometimes the lying could be, you're trying to lie, maybe not to hurt somebody or disappoint them. Sometimes it's, because you want to get away with something or whatever. But, different types of lies there. Verbal abuse, right? If you all of a sudden snap at somebody and you verbally abuse them, that can make them no longer feel safe with you. And obviously there are other kinds of abuse, physical abuse. What else? Emotional abuse, yeah.
Financial abuse.
That's a good one too. So there are different ways you can abuse somebody. Neglecting a partner, right? People don't think about it, but if you're counting on somebody to meet your needs and you go into this relationship with a set of expectations, or maybe that person said, this is what I'm going to do for you and how I'm going to show up for you, and they don't, that neglect can really hurt, and you don't want to trust them anymore because you're disappointed. How about complacency? A lot of people take their partner for granted, especially after they've been with them for a while, and once they're complacent, they're not really there for them. They don't live up to their partner's expectations or hopes or dreams or desires. That's another big one.
Right. And you also have to think about what you are trusting your partner with. Because a lot of times it's not just your emotions. Sometimes it is also your physical health. Sometimes it is, like you had mentioned, other responsibilities that you're counting on your partner to complete, as a team. So, trust isn't just this really narrow path, but when you trust a partner, you trust them in multiple different aspects.
Yeah.
So when they let you down, it can impact different areas of your trust. And you also have to understand that when you do breach someone's trust, whether you meant to, whether you don't think you did, but they think you did, it affects them. They have feelings about that. So now not only are they distrustful, but a lot of times feelings that come along with that are anger, confusion, shock, frustration. So being able to be accountable also means sitting with whatever emotions come up for that partner. And that's a really difficult one for many of you to understand, because we go into fix-it mode. We see our partner angry, we see our partner sad, and we just say, oh, no, I don't want them to feel that negative emotion because I can't handle it. And so we do all of these repair attempts, and in the process, we're continuing to dismiss our partner, we're continuing to neglect our partner and their needs, and not leaving space for their natural reaction to that breach of trust.
Yeah, because people often do need space. Okay, so what do you do? Well, if you're trying to repair things, you need to figure out what went wrong. And part of that is going to be communication. You're going to have to really hear some things that you're uncomfortable with. So that you're going to have to talk about those things. Now, obviously, I'm not saying to do this when your ex is first coming back. Okay, I don't want you to do that because that's going to overwhelm them. That's going to come slowly with time as you're trying to spend a little bit of time together and you're having a lot more positive experiences. Then you could start to discuss these things, because otherwise you're going to be too emotionally too overwhelmed. It's going to fall apart. Understanding attachment styles. That is so important, because guys, trust and our ability to trust, a huge part of that comes from our ability to trust our parents. If you don't trust your parents, your caregivers, it is very difficult to trust anyone else. And you better take a look at your mother. So many of the people in the toxic dating community, you and I have talked about this, they bash women particularly. And I constantly say this, they need to take a look at their relationship with their mother, because I think that's where a lot of their anger is at. They're angry at their mother, and so they blame it on all the women out there. So I think they should just date men, personally.
Right, and this is not, gender specific. Breaches of trust can happen on either end in so many different ways. We just talked about some of them today. But think about that, trust being developed and alongside attachment styles. Because I'm sure if you really think about it, many of you can think back to the moment where you realized that adults lie to you sometimes. Maybe there's this myth or a story that they tell you to prevent you from getting into trouble or prevent you from getting your hand burned on the stove or something like that. You know, maybe there are superstitions that you realize as you get older, oh, that was just like an old tale. None of that was true. I remember one of my cousins had told me not to touch these little, I think they're like fluffs that fly in the air sometimes. Maybe they're like dandelion fluff. She said, if you touch that, it's going to kill you. And I believed that for a large portion of my life.
In fact, a couple of weeks ago, you were
for a long time.
running for your life.
Yeah, until my friends would be, you know, playing with them. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? You guys are going to die. This is not okay. So trust is something that does develop in our childhood. And these experiences that we have, they do matter. You know, as children tend to be naive, but people are hardened. People become very skeptical in life when their trust has been broken over and over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
And at a certain point, when someone develops their trust, they're also developing core beliefs, whether people can or can't be trusted, who can or can be trusted.
It's true.
So your core beliefs about yourself or the world impact how much you trust someone. So think about it. In a breakup, for many of you, a lot of your core beliefs about romance have been affected, about what relationships mean, partnerships. Seeing that someone can make all these promises and plans with you and then it doesn't work out, you know, that kind of breaks your brain sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you were so hopeful.
Yeah, and if now it seems like, well, if this person that I trusted so much could do this to me, anybody could do this to me, or anybody would do this to me.
Right. So these are how some of those...
It's traumatizing.
It's how some of those core beliefs can be formed. So really working through some of those core beliefs that may have happened through the breakup or things that had led to that distrust. But trauma is a big one too. Trauma definitely impacts your ability to trust. When somebody has left such a profound impact on you, somebody or an event or a situation, you know, that impacts your ability to engage in that again. And breakups very well can be traumatic.
Absolutely. Yeah, so all of these things have such a profound effect on us that you have to consider these things when somebody comes back. You really have to think about how you're going to slowly rebuild this when all of these different areas are going to come up and impact you and your unconscious and your fears that you're going to have and the anxiety you're going to have and the memories of what happened when they broke this trust or and if you broke your partner's trust, if it was you, you have to be really patient with that and understanding and give them some space to work through it. You can't force them to trust you again at however you're wanting it to go, at your expectations, because that's just going to make them feel like, okay, I can't do this.
And this might be the thing that I maybe even say most often in my calls, but consistency really is how you build trust. People will always ask, well, how do I show my partner that, you know, I'm changing or that I am working on these issues or that I can be a better partner? Consistency. Not only do you have to show your partner, but you have to show yourself too that you can do that. And you do that just like with anything else that you're trying to turn into a habit. You know, you do these things daily, whether that's self-reflection, whether that's practicing those relationship skills, whether that's, you know, therapy that you do regularly. So consistency really is key when it comes to rebuilding someone's trust. And that's one that not a lot of people like, because we want to be able to rebuild our partner's trust quick. We don't like to see our partner angry or sad, especially when it's directed at us.
Yeah. And that's why so many of you are like, I've changed. I'm different now. Really, it's only been 3 hours, okay?
Yeah.
Nothing is different. It takes time. That's what we're trying to say. So there's going to take a lot of time and patience and understanding and being able to sit with difficult feelings and emotions and talk about those things slowly in a way that doesn't overwhelm both of you to rebuild things again.
Right. And if the distrust came from the breakup itself, well, if I get back with my partner, are they going to break up with me again? That also takes consistency on their end too, to show you that they can be reliable, to show you that, you know, they do realize how the relationship dissolved and they're working on it. So once somebody breaks your trust, be very careful how much trust you give them again.
That's right.
You know, you don't want to give someone 100% of your trust right off the bat. You want to be able to have them earn that back.
Yep. All right. So hopefully this one has been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you need.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.